Welcome back, students. Welcome to the class. So today we will going to discuss a new topic, that is states of matter. In state of matter, in class 11th you will discuss gaseous state. Okay, liquid states only a very small portion in your course, and the rest portion, that is solution part, in your class 12th. So what is states of matter? So we know that the matter exists in three states. These are solid, liquid and gases, and are known as physical state of matter. In fact, there are two more physical states which are not very common. They are called plasma state and Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, these two forms you will be taught in length in case if you opted for astrophysics. The different states of the matter arises due to the magnitude of the interparticle forces of interaction as well as interparticle space. I am repeating once more. The magnitude of the attractive force that exists between the interparticles and how far away the particles from each other. By varying the condition of the temperature and pressure, the different states of matter can be interconvertible. As you know that by boiling you can change water into vapors, or by condensing you can change vapors into liquid, or by solidifying or by freezing you can make the water to look like snow. So all these things are very well known to you. As pointed out, plasma is not a common state of the matter on earth. However, it is most common state in the universe. Plasma consists of highly charged particles with extremely high kinetic energy. For example, the different noble gas, neon in particular, are often used to making glowing signs and plates by converting them into plasma on passing electricity. You know that neon lights are being used. Okay, neon lights are being used in various types of signboards and other things. All these are in the plasma state. Different stars may be regarded as the superheated balls of plasma also. Now, particles in a gas will be separated with no regular arrangement. In liquids, they are close together with no regular arrangement. Solids, they are tightly packed and in a regular pattern. Okay. Particles in a gas vibrate and move freely. Liquids, particles vibrate, move about and sliding past each other, while solid vibrates but generates or generally do not move from place to place. Liquids and solids are often referred to as condensed phase because the particles are very close together. Are you getting that or not? Okay, I am repeating once more. Liquid and solids are referred as what? They are referred as the condensed phases. What they are called as the condensed phases. Now, the some characteristics of the gases, liquid, solids, and the microscopic explanation for the behavior is given to you. That is gas, liquid, and solids. Gas, assume the shape and volume of its container, so particle can move past each other. In liquid, assume the shape of the part of the container which occupy the particle and can slide past each other. While in solid, it retains a fixed volume and shape and particles locked into their places. Gases are compressible, so it means lot of space exists in between them. Liquids are not easily compressible, although a little bit of free space exists between the particle. Solids are also not easily compressible, a very little space exists between the particles. Gas flow very easily, liquids also flow easily. Collectively they are known as what? They are known as fluids also. But solids does not flow at all, because particles cannot move or slide past each other. So these are the basic technique or basic points actually you already know. Okay, now we are going to learn a new topic that is called as what? That is called as intermolecular attractions. Intermolecular attractions. Now intermolecular attractions plays a very vital role in the substance. If intermolecular forces, I will write then intermolecular IF, intermolecular forces are greater than the thermal energy of the molecule, it exists as what? It exists as a solid. If intermolecular forces are very less than the thermal energy, it exists as a gas. And if intermolecular forces and thermal energy are comparable, then the substance exists as a liquid. That is under room temperature I am talking about. Okay, so this thing must be kept in your mind now. Are you sure about that? I am repeating once more. Compare intermolecular forces or intermolecular attractions with the thermal energy that is available to the particles at the room temperature. If intermolecular forces outnumber the thermal energy of the molecules, the substance may exist as a solid at room temperature. If intermolecular forces are very less than that of thermal energy, the substance exists as a gas in the room temperature or at the room temperature. And if intermolecular forces and thermal energy they are comparable, then the substance can exist as a liquid at the room temperature. Now we have to look at the various types of intermolecular forces now. Now what are intermolecular forces? The forces of the attraction or repulsion that exist among the particles of a substance, whether it is gaseous state, liquid or solids, but other than the electrostatic force, and that exist among the oppositely charged ions and forces that hold the molecule together, like covalent bonds. Okay, so what happens that you should not take covalent bonding and ionic bonding as the part of the intermolecular forces. You get that or not? So intermolecular forces are different from the ionic bond formation, covalent bond formation, or for the, you can say, coordinate bond formation. So these bonding should be taken apart together. They should not be taken into consideration of the intermolecular attraction. So intermolecular attractive forces are only about the forces that are different from these type of covalent and ionic bond forces. So these forces are, so what intermolecular forces relate? These intermolecular forces are responsible for the structural feature and physical properties of the substance. Like methane is a gas containing covalent bonds. Carbon dioxide is a gas containing covalent bonds. But water is a liquid that also containing covalent bond. So it means presence of covalent bond in all three of them, and you can take ice is also containing covalent bond, or you can say graphite is also taking as a covalent bond. So presence of covalent bond does not signify that whether a substance will exist as a solid, liquid or gas. It only depends upon the type of the internal forces. On the other hand, the intramolecular forces that exist within the molecule in a polyatomic ion affects the chemical properties of the substance. Greater the intermolecular forces, higher is the boiling point. Conversely, by comparing the boiling point of different substances, strength of their intermolecular forces can be compared also. and we will discuss, especially in organic, these forces are discussed at length. This is because at the boiling point the heat absorbed is used to cut off the internal forces. Everyone knows that during the phase transformation temperature does not changes. So where does the provided heat goes? The provided heat goes to overcome these intermolecular forces. Like if you take ice, or you can say solid ice, and try to melt it, then what will happen? Until the, it means some amount of heat also goes into converting ice into liquid water without changing the temperature of the system. So the heat that is correspond to the, that is not used in rising the temperature is what? Is the force that is used to overcome the intermolecular forces of attraction. Okay. Similarly, greater the strength of the intermolecular forces, higher is the melting point. Dipole, dipole, ion induced dipole, dipole induced dipole. Okay. Dispersion forces and hydrogen bonding, they are considered as what? They are considered as intermolecular attraction. Remember one more thing, dipole dipole, that is number one, dipole dipole attraction, dipole induced dipole, and dispersion forces, they are collectively known as van der Waals forces. I am repeating once more, dipole dipole, dipole induced dipole, and dispersion forces, they are part of what? They are part of van der Waals forces. They are part of van der Waals forces. Okay. Ion dipole, I am repeating once more to you, ion dipole and ion induced dipole, these two, ion dipole and ion induced dipole, they are not considered as the part of van der Waals forces. Are you getting that or not? Similarly, hydrogen bonding, that is what? Hydrogen bonding is taken as what? Hydrogen bonding is taken as a special case of dipole dipole attraction. Okay, sure about that? So hydrogen bonding is taken as what? As a special case of dipole dipole attraction. You have to keep this point into mind. Dipole dipole, dipole induced dipole, and dispersion forces, they are collectively called as van der Waals forces. Ion dipole and ion induced dipole, they are not taken as what? Intermolecular attraction, but for the sake of convenience, we will study there also, here with them also. Similarly, in case hydrogen bonding also is a special case of dipole dipole attraction. So, as we already studied that, okay, ionic bond, covalent and metallic bond, they are not taken as what? They are not taken as intermolecular forces. Okay, like in ionic bond, there is a cation and anion electrostatic attraction exists. In case of covalent bond, electron pair is shared in between the two nuclei, and in metallic bond, there is a electrostatic attraction between the delocalized electrons and the kernels. Iron, sodium, potassium, okay, all metals, they show this type of bonding. Okay, look at the type of energy involved in this type of bonding. In comparison to that, this type of bonding or this type of energy, the intermolecular attractive forces involves very less amount of the energy, but that lesser amount energy is determined the physical state of the matter, that you have to take into account. Okay, so intermolecular forces we already know about. So ionic or Coulombic law, okay, like NaCl in solid sodium nitrate or sodium acetate, like that also you have, but you have ionic. So this is a ionic bond plus covalent bond are not part of what? Are not part of the intermolecular forces. iron dipole, dipole, hydrogen bonding, dipole induced dipole, and London forces. They are called as instantaneous dipole. They are taken as what they are. Okay. So at length now we will discuss all those forces now. So like in case of what? In case of iron dipole, okay, in case of iron dipole, the energy involved is this. In case of hydrogen bonding, energy involved is this. Okay, in case of dipole attraction, okay, the energy involved is nearby 5 to 25 kilojoule. In iron induced dipole, the energy involved is nearly about 3 to 15 kilojoule per mole. In dipole induced dipole, what happens? You have the energy around 2 to 10 kilojoule per mole involved. Okay, and in dispersion forces, very less amount, from 0.05 to 40 kilojoule energy is involved. Okay, so these are the various, you can say, information only. Don't take it as a conceptual view, take it as an information view that these type of internal forces, how much energy is involved in that. And remember that there's also that iron dipole and iron induced dipole. Okay, iron dipole, this is number 1, and iron induced dipole, that is number, okay, these two will not be considered as what part of van der Waals forces, remember that, but they are intermolecular forces. Okay, dipole induced dipole, and dispersion force. Okay, I am repeating once more, dipole, this is dipole, this is dipole induced dipole, and this is dispersion force. So A, they collectively are, as you can say, bouquet is called as what? As a bouquet they are called as van der Waals forces. So first we will take what? Dipole interactions. In case of polar molecule, the van der Waals forces are mainly due to electrical interaction between the opposite end of the particle, like you have HCl. So it has one positive end, one negative end, as we have discussed in what? In polar covalent bond. In polar covalent bond, the more electronegative atom will attract the electron cloud itself. So what can happen? The electronegative atom will acquire a partial negative charge, and the less electronegative atom will acquire a positive charge. So there will be a interaction, or there will be attraction between the positive end of the one molecule and negative end of the other molecule. This type of attraction is called as what? This type of attraction is known as the what? Is known as the dipole attraction. Is known as what? Dipole attraction. Are you getting that in your mind now? For example, gases such as which have a permanent dipole moment, okay, as a result of which these appreciable dipole interaction with the molecule of these gases. What are those gases? Okay, so there are many, like if you let us suppose you have ammonia is there. Ammonia, what happens? It is a special case, it becomes hydrogen bonded also. Okay, the magnitude of such type of interaction depend upon the dipole moment of the molecule concerned. Greater the dipole moment, stronger is the dipole interaction. Because of these attractive forces, gases can be liquefied easily. Gases can be liquefied quite easily. Okay, here we have to take into account main things. What are those main things? That now dipole interaction is proportional to 1 by r cube for stationary polar molecule like CO2 or BF3, and dipole interaction is 1 by r power 6 for the polar rotating molecules like HCl or HBr. Okay, So these things you have to take into account. Are you getting that or not? Sure about that? Now in case of what? Now in case of the molecule dipole interaction is equal to 2 mu1 square mu2 square by 3 r6 kt, where mu1 is the dipole moment of first molecule, mu2 is the dipole moment of second molecule, r6 is the distance between the positive and negative center of the two molecules, k is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature. For example, okay, you have let us suppose HCl there. So this is the distance between positive and negative end, that is equal to R, and mu1 mu2 is the dipole moment of the molecules. Are you getting that in your mind now? Now we talked about dipole induced dipole. Dipole induced dipole. Dipole induced dipole means a polar molecule may sometime polarize a non-polar molecule which lies in its vicinity, means very closely, and thus induces polarity in the molecule, just as a magnet induces a magnetic polarity in a neutral iron lying close to that. Okay, for example, if you have like H2O and oxygen, they are soluble. Why? Because water is able to induce polarity into that. Chlorine is soluble in water. Why? Because water induces polarity in Cl2. Similarly, okay, so these gases are soluble in water because the water is able to what? The water is able to induce polarity into them. The induced dipole moment then interact with the dipole moment of the first molecule, and two molecules interact. Like if water is here, xenon is here. So xenon is a noble gas. So what will happen? A polarity is induced in xenon, so it is able to become slightly soluble. The magnitude of the interaction evident depend upon the magnitude of the dipole moment of the polar molecule and polarizability of the non-polar. It means a bigger sized non-polar molecule will be easily polarizable. Okay, the solubility of the inert gases increases from helium to radon due to increase in the magnitude of dipole induced dipole. Okay, are you sure about that? So this is very important. So if you look at that, then force will be equal to what? Force equal to minus K, that is Q into mu1 divided by R square. Are you getting that or not? That is the polarizability of the molecule, dipole moment of the molecule divided by distance square. Okay. Once more, ion dipole interactions are stronger than the dipole interaction. I am repeating once more. Sorry. So force in this case is equal to 3 into h nu naught. Okay, alpha square divided by 4 r power 6. Okay. So where h nu naught depend upon the dipole moment of the molecule and what alpha depend upon polarizability of the molecule. So you can say that here also force is proportional to r power 6. So it is dipole induced dipole. What is that? Dipole induced dipole. Okay, are you sure about that? So most of the noble gases and other inert substances which are non-polar in nature, they become soluble in water due to that induced dipole moment. Next we will have ion induced dipole. Okay, like NaCl is soluble in water because cation is able to attract towards the negative dipoles of the water molecules. And remember that, I am repeating once more, ion dipole interactions are greater than dipole attraction, or greater than dipole attraction. Okay, so for example, Potassium nitrate also highly soluble in water. Potassium chloride also soluble in water. Why? Because ion dipole interaction is the result of electrostatic interaction between the charged ion and the molecule which has a dipole, that is commonly found in solution, especially ionic compound dissolved in water like a Porto solvent. A cation can attack the partial negative end of the molecule while an ion attracts the positive end of the polar molecule. Ion dipole attractions become stronger as the charge on the ion increases. That's why most of the ionic compound, they are soluble in water. Okay, in that case, force depends upon what? The force depends upon the electrostatic force depends upon minus K charge on the ion divided by into dipole moment of the molecule divided by distance square. Okay, it is similar to that of electrostatic attraction. Charge on the Q is charge on the cation or ion, mu is the dipole moment of that molecule, and r is the distance between that cation and the opposite end of the polar molecule. Now look at here also, the chloride ion is attracted towards the positive end of water molecule. Chloride is what? Chloride attract towards the positive end of the molecule, while sodium will attract towards the negative end of the molecule. So chloride will attract towards the hydrogen and cation will attract towards the negatively charged oxygen. So an ion will get attraction from the positive end of the water molecule while cation will attract towards the negative end of the molecule. Are you getting that in your mind now? Very simple to learn. Okay, sure about that? So cation sodium towards surrounded by the negatively charged oxygen, while the chlorides are surrounded by the positively charged hydrogen. Now we will talk about the London dispersion forces, and it is the weakest intermolecular attractive forces. Okay, what the force? The London dispersion forces is the weakest intermolecular forces. The London dispersion forces is a temporary attractive force that results when electrons in two adjacent atoms occupy position and makes the atom form temporary dipoles. This force is sometimes called an induced dipole. Okay, so let us suppose what I am trying to say, that one of the atom, look at that here, electrons are distributed symmetrically. Now for some time what happens? Okay, nucleus will come upon one side and all electron goes towards one side. So that become unsymmetrical distribution. So in first case, nucleus is positively charged here and electrons are symmetrically around it. But the immediate next moment, all the electron will accumulate together and positive charge will occupy one of the corners. So what happens? That is unsymmetrical distribution. That unsymmetrical distribution will result in a formation of a temporary dipole. So at a time, billions of molecules undergo temporary dipoles. These temporary dipoles induce the dipole in the next molecule. So you can say in a system nearly 10 to 15% molecules are always in temporary dipole situations. Okay, so London forces are attractive forces that causes non-polar substance to condense to liquid and freezes into solids. Okay, because of the constant motion of electrons, an atom or a molecule can develop the instantaneous dipole. Look at here now. Okay, that instantaneous dipole is there, and that is second molecule. This is first molecule, that is second molecule. So like that way it goes on and on and on. And the strength will depend upon molecular size. Dispersion forces are present between all molecules, whether they are polar or non-polar. Larger and heavier atoms exhibit stronger dispersion forces. In a large atom or molecule, the valence electron on an average furthest from the nucleus in comparison to a smaller atom. The ease with which electron distribution around the atom can be distorted is called polarizability, and it is always great or always large in case of large sized molecules. London dispersion forces tend to be stronger between the molecules which are more polarized, and they are weaker in the molecules which are less polarized. So, magnitude of these forces depend upon size and molecular mass. The melting, boiling and boiling point of non-polar molecule depend upon size or the molar mass. Greater the size and greater the molar mass, more will be the temporary dipoles. Temporary dipoles or dispersion forces are known as what? They are known as the you can say instantaneous dipolar interactions, but they are called as instantaneous dipolar interactions. So, instantaneous dipolar interactions are very useful. They also depends upon geometry and the shape of the molecule, that is called as surface area. Okay, greater the surface area, greater will be the melting point and boiling point. For example, a straight chain, okay, is more surface area than a smaller chain. Okay, so normal pentane has a higher boiling point than neopentane. Why? Because the neopentane has large surface area, while neopentane in comparison will have small surface area. It covers lot of area, it covers less area. So more the area, more will be the, you can say, distortion, and more will be the polarizability, and more will be the instantaneous dipole.